Don't fall. Don't fall. It's hump day. Hey babe, Nika here with your Daily Neuro Nugget. Hey babe, happy hump day. As you guys see the title, we are going to be talking about Dylan Mortensen and the extended interview. Now, not everybody, surprisingly, not everybody here has watched Dylan's extended interview, and I wanted to go through it step by step because there is a lot of contradictions from Dylan's extended interview and the body cam footage and then the ring cam footage. There's a lot of things that don't add up. And again, a lot of us, I understand, sometimes will watch clips of other YouTubers and whatever. But at the end of the day, we actually have to go through all of the legitimate footage of Dylan's interview to get down to the nitty-gritty. We know, well, we don't know. Let me backtrack here. These are my theories, my opinions, and my videos are, of course, for entertainment purposes only. That being said, let's talk about Dylan Mortensen. And I hope you guys are able to join me in the chat. Give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys for all the amazing super chats. You guys always spoil me. I do have a giant cup of coffee. You guys treated me to it. Isn't it cute? Isn't it so cute? It's one of my favorite gifts one of the girlies here got for me. Thank you so much. My favorite mug, by the way. Thank you. Hey, Nadine. I will try my very best to keep up in the chat. Let me pull it up here. Dylan. Oh, Dylan. Oh, Dylan. Now, when you pull up the full extended interview, you can find it on YouTube. There's about a whole 20 minutes that's new, right? And then at the 20-minute mark or so, Dylan leaves the room with the police officer, and you hear the police officer say something that's kind of hard to tease out, and then they come back and sit down again, right? Now, he then is asking her a question that Dylan already answered in the first portion of the interview, which was about any of them having any weirdness from anyone. They said, was there anything weird? Was there anything strange? Any odd messages? And what did Dylan Mortensen say? She said no. But then he takes her back in yet again. And then she starts to list things that were weird. This is why I'm concerned, because when she leaves the room with the police officer, we can't hear what is being said. We can't hear what is being said. So I have to personally question what was said by the police officer to Dylan in that little bit. Because again, how is it possible that she goes from originally saying there's nothing strange, there is nothing weird, to then we hear him say something to her, and then all of a sudden she starts listing weird things. She goes on about, oh, the door was open. Oh, Kaylee stalked her at Winco. Oh, there's a third thing. I forget what she mentions. And then later on in the interview, the officer again randomly asks if she can remember what color his eyebrows were. Weird. Weird. Why is that weird? Well, because Dylan Mortensen had not mentioned anything about eyebrows up until that point, right? She said no, and she had also mentioned that she could not remember his eyes, right? Who's in here? Steven, the real Nancy, welcome. Hey, Nadine. Hey, Emily. Hey, Christina. Are you okay, Christina? I see there was a message retracted. Please keep it PG, by the way, guys, in the chat. Be nice to each other. Hey, Grace. Hey, Steven. Hey, Andrea. Hey, Assman. Assman. Hey, Robert. Hey, Gucci from New Zealand. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Joanne. Hey. Hey, Donald. Hey, Sherry and Carol. The whole family's here. Where's Suds? Suds. Where are you? We miss you. We miss you, Suds. Hey, Shani. Is it Shani or Shani? I'm sorry. English is not my first language, so be nice. Isn't that weird? That she had not mentioned eyebrows up until that point. She had said no, that she could not remember his eyes, and then that there was nothing strange. Cop takes her out, and she starts listing all these weird things, right? Hey, Juno. Hey, Mom G. There's something else that I can't fully make out what Dylan's saying, right? She starts by saying she can hear Murphy, she can hear Kaylee upstairs, and she is positive that it's Kaylee and Murphy, and also says, I know that that is her. Basically, she's describing her voice, and she's also describing the fact that she hears Kaylee being scared. And I know that later on she mentions that it was Xana, but when she said that she heard Kaylee say there's somebody here, and then she went on to mention the crying in the bathroom, and then she went on to mention the voice that says that they're there to help. The cop then asked Dylan, how long was it before you saw him from when you heard the voice say, I'm here to help? And Dylan Morrison says 10 to 20 minutes, right? She says that she first hears Murphy barking, and then that she heard who she thought was Kaylee being afraid. Then Dylan says she didn't open her door, that she just called out to her, and then picked up her phone and called Maddie and Xana. This is where it starts to get interesting. Pay close attention, guys. If you look and listen to the ring cam very closely, and we are, again, this is a case that maybe you need to take notes, get some timestamps on there, but from 4:07 a.m., there's actually not that much noise when we are analyzing the ring camera, right? We hear faint noises that sound kind of far away, and I can't make sure if it's just the house creaking or if it's background noise. But then when we look at 4:17, that's when we hear Murphy start barking. And then it just continues to get louder and louder and louder, almost as if he's at that time being put outside of 1122 King Road. Now, about 30 seconds to a minute later, you hear who I would assume is Xana when she notices that there's finally somebody inside 1122 King Road. And at that same time, you can still hear Murphy outside, right? Then there's a lot of muffled noises. And then after that, you don't really hear much. And then the car is heard and seen speeding away around 4:20 in the morning, right? So if there is all this activity supposedly that is allegedly going on, right? Dylan is saying, oh, there's so much activity. All these things were going on. I saw the intruder. I heard Murphy. I heard Kaylee say there's somebody in here, and she heard crying. All that activity that Dylan is describing, which would last about 10 to 20 minutes or so. How can Xana have been caught by surprise in those last couple of minutes? Why did Dylan call or not call everyone as soon as she heard commotion in the house? You have this timeline here where all this activity, all this commotion was going on, allegedly, according to Dylan, but you waited until the 20 minutes of commotion was up to call anybody, to reach out to anybody. If you, Dylan, are allegedly so sure that you can hear Kaylee in her room, why did you wait so long, right? She also says that she cannot understand how she did not hear the bang as she was on that floor. The bang? Because I always assumed that that bang would have happened at the same time that Bethany Funk said she saw some flash right outside of her room, right? And also, why is it that Dylan or Bethany only call each other basically 20 minutes after all the commotion had happened and after he left? Why did they wait for that long to call each other? Again, you have to put yourself in the shoes of these people, and if they're really afraid, and if they're concerned, and if there is all this activity, all this crying, you're hearing running, you're hearing Kaylee say she's scared, you're hearing voices say there's somebody in here. You waited until all the commotion was done so that you guys could call each other, and after you supposedly saw him leaving, right? Okay. Why did they both leave out the fact they never went to sleep? This is something that is why I'm always going to believe that they know much more. I am not saying, don't twist my words, I am not saying that they were involved or that they were not involved. I'm saying that it's not a good look. The fact that they both, Dylan and Bethany, hence the name Bethany, both left out the fact that they never went to sleep. Let's be honest with each other, family. You're not gonna like what I'm about to say. A little warning here for those who are very sensitive, who are very easily triggered, who are closed-minded. But let's be real. I'm gonna say something right now that I hope triggers some of you. And if it triggers you, please go away. I don't want betas in here. I don't want snowflakes in here. Okay. If Bethany were male, if they were male, or if they were of any other race, trigger you? Did it trigger you? This is honestly a scientific fact, right? As somebody who has a master's degree, 4.0 in psychology, we have studied this in depth. If it was somebody of any other race or any other gender, they would have been questioned so fucking heavily. Bethany would be in jail at this very moment. I'm gonna let you know that right now, immediately. I don't want to make this a racial thing. I don't want to make this a woman versus man thing. These are just scientific facts. This is bias. It exists, okay? If you're a little snowflake, I don't want you here. Go away. Don't let the door hit your ass. Thank you. Thank you. The point is that Bethany got a pass because of the bias that we understand in the world of psychology, in the world of criminology. Bias exists, meaning that if you see two little Caucasian blonde girls, guess what? Guess what? Joanne, woo! Yes, baby girl, $2. I'm gonna buy myself some energy drinks. Thank you, babe. $2 is a lot in this economy, okay? I appreciate all the super chats, by the way. In this economy, you guys are very giving, very loving, very loving. Thank you so much. No way did these two little blonde Caucasian young girls commit this atrocity. Let's treat them like princesses from the get-go. Yeah, let's replace that with two young black male in the same exact situation. They'd be in fucking jail. And if you say no, you're a little lying ass piece of shit, okay? This is bias. This is a scientific fact. It's real. But the cops let it slide. Even if these girls, according to y'all, give Jody Arias, is that how you pronounce her name? Vibes, they don't care. They let it slide, right? Even though these two girls only called each other after 20 plus minutes of hearing commotion, after waiting until the intruder left to call each other. After leaving out the fact that they never went to sleep. They left that out. That alone would have gone. Any man that is listening to this, you know damn well that if that was you in the situation of Destiny, you'd be in jail, right? You do know that, right? Because bias also exists across the board for gender, not just race. For gender, if they were two men, they would be in fucking jail. And I have said this from day one. Two men in that house that stood around with their fucking thumbs in their goddamn mouth. I'm sorry. My French is rough today. I'm very caffeinated and this pisses me off. Because if you have children, if you have brothers, if you have fathers, if you have sons, and these were your two sons, they would be in jail. No fucking way would the world be like, but they were like so afraid and they just like had to do their own thing, you know? And then after all the information was released and we find out that they were not asleep, that they left out the fact that they never went to sleep, that they left out the fact that they were on their fucking phones the whole time, texting each other, taking pictures, adding contacts to their phone. Yeah, good luck about letting that shit slide if these were two men. It wouldn't have happened. They would be in jail from day one. They would have been questioned heavily from day one. They wouldn't have been allowed to go off on their merry way on their own without a police escort to go change their clothes. By the way, when they went to go change their clothing without a police escort, did they shower? Because I don't know if they did or not, but if they were allowed to go get clothing, new clothing, without cops, oh, what if they showered? That fucks up the entire investigation. You could potentially be allowing somebody who was in the house when the crime was committed to be washing away evidence, DNA, we don't know. You should be angry. You should be angry. If you are not angry at this, I don't know what to tell you. Why should you be concerned? Why should you be angry? Because again, this could be your father, your brother, your son in the same situation, and they would be in jail. But these girls get a pass because they're cute, young, blonde, white, right? It's called bias. There's something off in this interview, like she was being led on about what to say, about how to answer the questions. I think Dylan knows more about what's going on, whether it's down to fear, whether it's maybe to some involvement. I have no idea, but I think she knows something, right? In the interview, when she said she got to Bethany's room, she said verbatim, "We were scared and then we just fell asleep." Meaning what? That she fucking lied to all of us. Not just the truthers, the guilters as well. She lied to the world. Verbatim, she said, "We were scared and then we just fell asleep." And then we find out that they were not asleep whatsoever. She said, "And when we woke up, we called so-and-so." Okay, this is total bullshit. We all know already that this isn't true. Why people are still giving them a pass, I have no idea. They're not mentally stable, is my opinion, right? But she and Bethany both said they went to sleep in the interviews at the station, and Dylan said it on the body cam the day of, right after the crime allegedly took place. So after that, it should be extremely difficult for you to believe them. Once a person lies from the get-go, time and time and time again, and then the evidence, and then the phone records, and then the phone texts that were released show otherwise, yes, it should be difficult to believe them, right? I don't think that they had a clue that Moscow Police Department was going to take their phones. I don't think they were thinking things clearly, and everything seems rehearsed. And maybe it wasn't rehearsed. I don't know. Dylan's stories change like the wind, and then to that we add an extremely late 911 call, 8 hours late, by the way. And it doesn't sound like this thing inside of 1122 King Road was an accident. It doesn't sound like an accident. It sounds to me, this is my humble opinion, that they were delaying their call on purpose to get their ducks in a row. That is the only explanation that I can probably think of for not calling the cops sooner, right? Especially now that we know they were not asleep, especially now that we know that they were not frozen in shock, especially now that we know that they were texting and on social media and taking pictures and adding contacts and calling each other and not doing anything when the commotion was taking place inside the house. Especially, they were without a doubt not sleeping. So were they coordinating their stories? And Dylan was asked what color were the intruder's eyebrows. She says she does not remember and then volunteers the information that she doesn't remember his eye color either. What's the number one thing that we have heard people across the board mention about Kohlberger's eyes? Oh, his eyes are so intense. His eyes are so creepy. Even his own lawyers reference Brian to having an intense gaze, which is why I originally guessed and was right about him being autistic. A lot of us folks who are autistic have intense gazes. So if he's the unaliver, I find it very difficult to believe that Dylan did not remember Kohlberger's eyes, those intense, creepy eyes that everybody talks about. She completely glossed over the eyebrows, but then several interviews later, magically, suddenly, she's like, oh yes, and they were so bushy. They were so bushy. All I remember is his bushy eyebrows. Doesn't remember his intense eyes, big, blue, creepy, incel, intense eyes. She just remembers bushy eyebrows. And again, this was information she magically volunteered several interviews later. It's like, what is going on? The whole bushy eyebrow statement we now know was fed to her. And then it sounds like they forced her to stick to that. Also, the fact that she flat out mentions that she saw a man carrying something. Didn't she mention that she saw a man carrying a gun? Isn't that what she said? Yet people will still say she saw the knife? I mean, I hope that a college student would know the difference between a knife and a gun, right? So if she says gun, then why wouldn't we go with that statement? Plus, all of us here have seen my own personal K-bar from when I was in the military. If you look at my old videos, you will see close-ups of my K-bar. Looks nothing like a gun. We know K-bars are very, very sharp. They're very, very big. And I just find it hard to believe that the perpetrator was flinging around a K-bar and didn't nick himself, didn't cut himself, or even bother to acknowledge that he left his sheath behind. Why is it that investigators seem to have completely disregarded Dylan and Bethany's statements about hearing and seeing a potential gun? It's almost like they didn't want us to talk about that. And I find that very, very strange, especially because we have heard the GFAM mention that originally they thought that Kaylee had been shot. Right? There were different rumors. Was it a gun? Was it a vacuum? Was it a K-bar? But didn't Dylan mention seeing a gun? It's like as if a gun didn't fit the narrative, so it had to be minimized so nobody would question it, right? Even in the 11-12 footage, Blake Pryor, $4.99, happy Tuesday. Babe, thank you so much. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, Blake. Thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate it, guys. All you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all the super chats. But when we go through the 11-12 footage, what do we hear at 4:19? It's a loud bang, but instead the investigators call it a thud. A thud. That sounds like to me, sounds like a gunshot. And it also kind of aligns with the timeline that Bethany gave about hearing a bang and seeing a flash. So why were they so desperate to keep that information from the public? It doesn't make any sense, right? And you guys can call us conspiracy theorists or whatever you want to call us, but I just feel like Destiny, like they were told what to say and they were forced to go along with that story, especially when we look at when Dylan finally decided to mention the bushy eyebrows. It was so many interviews later, right? And if they were not being forced to go along with the story, then why didn't the detectives ask them about why the stories changed so much, right? That's one of the things. If the story is consistently changing, like the wind, then a detective would say, well, why did you say this the first time? And why did you say this second, third, and fourth time? Because every time she opened her mouth, the story changed, right? Also, why did the cops treat the girls like victims from the first day rather than treat them as suspects? Because of what I mentioned, right? Bias. You see two blonde young girls, your first thought is not they could know something or they're involved. We have this bias to protect these type of people when we know damn well women, young blonde women, can also be unalivers, can also be criminals, can also be very dangerous. Don't let their looks fool you, people. And I don't mean just Dylan and Bethany's looks. I just mean people in general, right? They can come across as looking very clean, neat, put together, and they can be the most psychopathic, homicidal, raging maniac that you will ever meet in your life, right? Don't be fooled by looks. Now, we also see Hunter and Jack that also seem to be getting this very delicate treatment from law enforcement instead of the harsh and exhaustive interviews that we normally see when somebody is typically brought in for questioning in any other cases, right? I mean, what was that? There was a case in Wisconsin where they questioned a man who was low IQ, right? What was that case? I'm trying to see if I can. There was, I forget the case. There was a case in Wisconsin. And the cops decided to question somebody who was actually intellectually disabled. They went harder on this disabled kid, by the way, who was a minor. Yes, Steve Avery. Thank you so much, Teresa. They went harder on Steve Avery's nephew, right? Intellectually disabled and a minor without parental consent. They went harder on this intellectually disabled minor than they did Dylan and Bethany and Hunter and Jack. They're getting treated like babies, like flowers, like soft, delicate little things. Where are the harsh, where are the exhaustive interviews that are typical in cases like this? If a person is left alone in a crime scene for 8+ hours, guess what? Statistically speaking, they are suspect number 1 and 2. That's just basic fucking math. Then we have Hunter who's touching knives left and right. And then what do the cops do? Oh, let's just guide him back outside coolly, calmly. And then he's just left to mingle with the rest of the group. Like, it doesn't even matter that he touched a fucking knife. Of course it matters. This is not normal behavior for how cops should have treated a quadruple homicide, okay? This is insane. Right, Nadine? Thank you so much, Nadine. Yes, and what? Calling him my homeboy. What the fuck? Weird as hell. Now, there's a theory, of course, a gun theory, but a gun would really indicate more than one perpetrator, right? It would. Because who in the world is this mastermind criminal that would also hold a gun with one hand and then knife them with the other? No one, right? No one. I also wanted to mention something that I thought was so fucking weird to me, which was when Dylan was not able to build a correct model of the home in her brain. Like, Dylan, what? What? She constantly says that Kaylee's room was above hers and not Maddie's, okay? This is not an accident because she correctly says the toilet is right next to Maddie's room. So it seems she doesn't understand that the stairs go back on themselves. So when you get to the top of Kaylee's room is on the left and Maddie's is on the right. And yes, it matters. Yes, it makes a difference because, again, Maddie's room is actually directly above hers. So her story of Kaylee saying there's someone here when she goes into her room doesn't make any sense. And as she says, you can hear everything, but she doesn't hear them get unalived, brutally murdered in the room right above hers, right? And that being said, let's be honest, Dylan doesn't strike me as the brightest crayon in the box. But it still feels rehearsed. It feels like the cops are filling in the blanks for her somehow, for whatever reason. And it just makes me think, WTF. Throughout the interview, the cop is filling in the blanks for her. And then they step outside of the room, and I'm like, interview over? He's like, oh, here's a number, contact me, and ask for help if you need somebody to talk to. He also says something really, really strange, considering he points out that he hasn't been to the home at this point. He says to her that she may remember bits that come back to her, and that all sorts of things may trigger those memories, like a box of fries. A box of fries? I don't know. It's just odd. Maybe it's a saying, and again, English is my first language. But I'm like, a box of fries? That's a little bit weird, as we know that Xana had the delivery of fries, right? It's a weird, the box of fries comment just strikes me as odd. It's almost as if we're not being told the whole story in its entirety, right? So, how long? Oh my God, I've been here 32. 32 minutes. Very strange. It's all very, very strange. And it's just insane, right? And when I'm ranting, by the way, I'm like spitting things off from the top of my head. It's like, okay, so many things are coming to me right now. Like, why did Ethan's brother drive his car to their house at 4:30 a.m. and then walk to his house? Did they interview him about that? Oh, no, they didn't. What about when Death and E were home? Did they watch Vampire Diaries and get a plot idea? Were they asked about that? When they got home, allegedly the lights and the music were on and Murphy was supposedly disappeared. One of them says that Maddie was asking her where the dog was. We also have seen pictures of the house, and that house was disgusting. It was disgusting. Fucking messy. Typical college kids, I guess. I don't know. My spot was clean, but I have ADD and I'm autistic, so I'm very anal. My house is very clean. Their house was disgusting. Fucking disgusting. A fucking pigsty. It was messy. But then when we look at the shower room and the bathroom, fucking squeaky clean. Except for the toilet, right? Where was all the blood? This is a horrific crime where we have seen images of the red fluid being literally leaked outside of the home. But when we look inside the home, there's not that much red fluid, right? And then we look at Jack's house, also covered in red fluid. Then we have these conflicting times on when the sheath was found, photos that were taken. Supposedly Kaylee was brutally unalived because she fought back. Then there's a whole DoorDash fiasco with Xana. Did she really order it? We don't know. And if she was supposedly in the kitchen at 4 a.m. dancing with the lights and music, waiting for her food, I don't know. We have music, bright lights, a dog barking. Supposedly Kaylee and Maddie may be dancing. And then we're supposed to believe that this googly-eyed, skinny-ass, dexterity nerd, criminal psychology student walks into the house and just unalives everybody. Red fluid everywhere. Then he has enough time to cover them with a pink blanket. Then bumps into Xana because she didn't hear the screams that at least Kaylee made, because we know that she was fighting also for her life, supposedly. Then he supposedly changes Xana, or chases her through an obstacle course of shoes and drinks and shit. And we see cases of beer on the floor and football tables. Manages to not knock anything of her red fluid anywhere, because we know the knife would actually be dripping with red fluid, so there would be a trail, right? Then runs into Xana's room to find the hulking giant of Ethan, because he was 6+, 200+ pounds. Had this massive fight with Xana, who's screaming, fighting, defending herself. Had a 50, however many stab wounds, a smashed skull, and Ethan doesn't wake up. And then not only that, but we're supposed to believe that Brian then had all this time to then slit Ethan's legs, calves, flip him over, stab him again, gets no red fluid anywhere, walks out of the house, no fluid anywhere, speeds away, doesn't get any DNA in his vehicle, doesn't leave a trail of red fluid anywhere. Wow. And wait. The cherry on top is that there were 2 people still in the house. Alive. Awake the whole time. And guess what? In fact, he even walked past one of the girls. But wait a minute. Hold up, family. Because where are the lights? Where are the lights? Because people said they saw lights. Bethany says she saw lights. And, oh, turns out that the 2 people that were inside the house, alive, awake, texting, don't call the cops. No, they wait another 8 fucking hours because they choose to fucking hide in their bathroom and scroll through social media instead, right? And eventually, they would call somebody else to come check. They eventually Dylan calls Emily, a female that is half her height, half her weight. Because Dylan's what, like almost 6 foot, probably almost 200 pounds. I know I'm overestimating, but she's a big girl. Let's be for real. She looks like the Hulk, in my opinion. You're going to call Emily, half your height, half your weight, to come check for you. Where's Murphy? Oh, inside, outside? Oh, we don't know, right? We don't know anything. Weird. And then to top it off, we also know that Zillin, I like that better. 145, oh, no. Boo, I'm 145. I'm 5'3", 145, and I'm skinny as fuck. Y'all can literally see my twigs. This girl's gotta be like, I'm telling you, close to 200 pounds. She's a foot taller than me, bro. She's a big old bitch, okay? She's a big bitch, and she calls somebody half her size. Okay? She's an elephant, basically, according to Beyond Fire. And look, we're not body shaming. I'm just saying she's a big bitch. It is what it is. You know, she could play football. She looks like an NFL player to me. Like, she's got these broad fucking shoulders, bro. She could probably bench press us all. Right? And you've seen Emily. She's little. Emily's little. And then this massive football player, Dylan, saw Xana lying on the floor, passed out, with the lights on. There should have been red fluid everywhere, but it doesn't matter. She doesn't give a shit, doesn't bother to check on them. Says, whatever, that bitch is asleep, she's drunk, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. She saw her, she said, I don't give a fuck. Sounds like that's what she said. Because if you gave a fuck, even if she was only drunk, you still would go and check and be like, oh my God, babe, are you okay? Let me flip you on your side, you know? because I was also young and stupid and in college a long time ago. And I would have checked on my friend. She doesn't give a fuck, in my opinion. I mean, I've been to plenty of parties. I was at plenty of colleges. We had plenty of girls pass out on the floor. Yes, we were drinking. Yes, some of them used substances. But as soon as we saw somebody on the floor, guess what? We were yelling and screaming for help. Because we don't want anybody aspirating their own vomit and drowning in it. So Dylan doesn't give a fuck is my personal opinion. To say you woke up 8 hours later and you still saw your friend on the floor with all that blood and you ran past the room and saw nothing? Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I don't know who did what, but none of this is right. None of this adds up. Believe it or not, I will call bullshit. Sorry if you don't agree. Sorry if you're a sensitive little snowflake, but shit is not adding up. 1 + 1 is not adding up here, babe. It's not adding up. It's not adding up anywhere, right? Hey, YOLO. Who's YOLO? You okay, YOLO? Why are so many people retracting messages? It's a little weird. Hate autocorrect? Okay, good. Hey, Lister. Hey, YOLO. Hey, Carol. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Joyful Dolphin. Hey, Jenny. Hey, Holly Berry. I'm sure I missed all kinds of people in here because you guys are popping off in the chat. Hey, The Real Nancy Drew. Hey, Christopher Bond. You're 172, 5'11", and she's skinnier than me. You don't know because you're not next to her. Pictures are different. Pictures are different than actual, like, in person. Trust me. Trust me. I used to model when I was younger. Pictures are very different from in person. But I've seen pictures of her next to her boyfriend, and she looks like she eats him for breakfast. He looks like this, and she looks like this. She's big. The point is, that's not the point. The point is that she's a big bitch and she's calling fucking Emily, who we know is smaller than her. That's who you're calling to come rescue you, really, bitch? Whatevs. I don't know. Awkward as hell. The point is that none of this adds up. The point is that her statements, in my opinion, are very suspicious. They're wishy-washy. They sound like she's making them up as she goes. And that's a great point that I made about Dylan and Bethany not calling each other during the noise, during the commotion. They waited 20 minutes till all the noise magically stopped until they decided to reach out to each other at the same time. How fucking convenient, right? Especially for Dylan, because you heard all this noise. You heard Katie screaming. You didn't go out to check. You got scared, but not scared enough that you did not run to Bethany's room. Not scared enough that you didn't call law enforcement until noon. Instead, you called friends over to come and fuck the crime scene up, right? And then Hunter told you to call the cops. You didn't use your fucking neurons. You didn't use your fucking brain. Sorry, I'm not buying the fact that she didn't know anything. Response was unacceptable, unnatural, and that's why Ann Taylor was suspicious of her and requested items from her room. This is why I do not empathize with her, because she did nothing for her friends. Yeah, she made sure she had a GoFundMe, right? She can do that. She can't call 911, but she sure as hell can ask for money. She sure as hell can have a GoFundMe with pictures of her friends. Looks like a scheme to me. Maybe is she just narcissistic? Is she maybe just flaky as fuck? Is she maybe just doesn't give a fuck about anything? She says at one point she did not open the door that time and just got up and ran to lock her door. Then a little later in the interview, he's going over her statements again and says to her, so you hear Kaylee and you open the door, which she says yes. Pay close attention to all her effing contradictions within this interview, please. She also said that she watched him leave out the door, but you can't see the door from her line of sight. She also said that she's seen him, but if you have seen him where she says, then he'd have his back to her. So many differences in their statements that don't make sense. Also, the calls, let's talk about the calls. She rang Bethany first, but in the documents with the calls, it's Bethany who rings her first, right? Is that right? shady, shady, shady. I gotta get going, guys. I do have to get to work at 4. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to love it, like it. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to vote in the comment section. If you don't vote in the chat, please, the chat will eventually disappear. Vote in the comment section. If you think that these extended interviews of Dylan are fucking suspicious, please leave a 1. If you think she's a perfectly goody two-shoes who was sound asleep and didn't know anything, leave a 2. But I'm gonna be judging you pretty hard for real, though. Thank you guys for all the super chats. Crazy. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. NFL player over here. Calling little old Molly or little old Emily. Get out of here, bro. Sorry, that just irks me. Thank you guys for joining me in today's live. Also, if you can hype the video, I don't even know how to hype videos. If you can hype the video, hype it. I would highly appreciate it. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good night.